now that are closing. There you go. We are on recording mode right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Leave your name in the chat. We will begin in just a few minutes more. We're accepting more people to the event. Thank you so much for the people that actually get the opportunity to, improve their knowledge and, basically expand their knowledge. I believe one of the main principles in our power culture is being coachable and having always an open mentality for new knowledge and new points of view. Now, the agenda that we have for today is very, very strong. I advise you all to have pen and paper. See if there is something that is going to be adding value to your business, to your opportunity, to your journey in power. I'm very excited, very happy to be with you all. And I'm going to start actually with the introductions. This is the agenda that we have prepared for today. We're going to do a little bit of the introduction about the people that actually made this event. We're going to start talking about how to get the customers information on point. What is the solar deck that we use to prepare for our meetings? Some of the tools that we use, like Google Sunroof and other tools that we use to actually being able to have a successful appointment. Talking about public records, understanding the opportunity, how to properly set up solo, and then at the end, we're gonna ask some questions. So this specific chapter in the Lead Generation Champion series, as if you watch the previous series, was about door-to-door and how to generate leads in English and Spanish. The second chapter, because we have a lot of people asking us, hey, yes, okay, we were able to get the appointment, but now how do we get ready for the Zoom presentation or for the in-house presentation? So we said, you know what? We talked with Ramsey, we talked with my wife, Jennifer, and we said, let's do a Zoom meeting just to give all the tools that we have from the moment that you actually get the electric bill until the moment that you were able to do the presentation. So this is what we're going to present for you guys today. So I'm going to start, I have the privilege to do the introductions today. I'm going to start actually talking about the people that is making this event possible. I'm going to give a big shout out to Ramsey Clark, my friend, my brother. This guy, guys, if you don't know this guy, follow him. He's kind of new in this business. He inspired me a lot since, we've been in business for 7 years and we know a lot of the techniques, but sometimes we need the energy and the motivation that this guy always have, always positive mentality, always with the right attitude. He's going to be helping us understanding the solo opportunity and how to, follow those questions. Since we have so many people in the chat, he's going to be grabbing some of the best questions and we're going to be interacting with him. His contact information is in the bottom. The second person that actually made this event possible is my wife, Jennifer Flores. She's a mentor in the platform. She's bilingual. She's willing to help you, very strong on financial advisory for making a proposal that is very tight on numbers, finding out the right APR and all those things. And she's also a realtor. So she's going to be helping us with the property search records, tips, and all those things. And of course, this servant of you guys, Diego Garcia, I've been a mentor in the platform. I do a lot of coaching and training. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at More Power. We just want to give you the tools for, giving you the toolkit to be successful when you get into an appointment. My contact information is in the bottom. All right, so after these presentations and these introductions, we're going to start with the topic. Get ready, guys, because we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of good tools to share with you. Okay, so when it comes to getting the customer information, the first thing you need to do, and I'm going to begin jumping from one page to the other because this is going to be a live example, and I'm going to be opening my Power Portal to kind of show you what is important when you're getting the customer's information. Let me go ahead and put my glasses here. Okay, now I can see. Let's go and verify the information. So why is important to verify the homeowner's information? Sometimes when we are in the platform, we're not able to verify if the information that we receive from the homeowner is accurate, right? So the first thing I normally try to do, if I have a mentee that is, choosing us as a mentor or something, just make sure the first name and the last name is correct. I cannot tell you how many times just because we didn't have the right first name and last name, we were not able to process the contract or do something related with the financing or actually a credit decline. When we take a look at the driver license, make sure the first and the last name is well spelled. And then of course, the email address and the phone number. You can do the same email address for both of the applicants, but just make sure they sign double when you're doing the application. You know, things like the N at the end of the com, or those little details will help you running the credit and getting successful. Phone number is crucial, and then the preferred language. If you have a Spanish speaker person or an English speaker person only, the contract and the loan documents, everything needs to be on the same language. So just make sure to ask your mentee or ask your client, okay, what is your desired language? Because sometimes you're talking with an English Spanish speaker, and then her wife or his husband, whatever it is, the partner buyer doesn't speak that language. So just ask that person, what is your preferred language for the contract and for the loan documents? All right, we're gonna talk about some of the most important key topics that I verify when I'm making sure the customer's information is correct, and that's double or triple the home address. So I'm gonna use the example of this customer, Angel Davila, because this customer actually has this address. And when you have an address with a zip code and a state, this is actually in South Carolina for a mentee that I'm doing a project right now. And it's kind of funny because the address, as you can see here, is showing this zip code. But sometimes when you go to Google Maps or to different sources, you cannot find the address. So the first time that we saw this pin was like over here or over there. You really don't know where the pin is. If I show you the proposal in this specific case, the initial proposal, when I first request the proposal based on the address, and the address is accurate based on the electric bill, actually came out like this. Boom. What do? You cannot have a proposal. You cannot have solar design based on just the Tuxedo lane with the Murdoch lane road. So this is not very common, and I'm going to be touching some of the rare cases. You know, most of the cases the platform is going to work correctly. It's going to give you the right proposal. We're going to be able to find the right roof. But if this is the case, we have some tools, guys. So I'm going to share with you some of those tools. So the first one is making sure that you understand that there is more than just Google Maps. Okay. First of all, if you don't have a Mac or you use Windows, you still can have access to Apple Maps. Apple Maps is already updated. Sometimes when I talk to people, you know, it's probably not the most popular tool, but if you do open Maps, you will be able to see most of the maps more updated. You can find the location. You can the quality of the image is really good. If the image is not updated, you can also see if the application actually is getting you the right information. Sometimes different providers, different map providers will give you information that the other one doesn't. So that's one of the tools. The other tool that we normally use is sorry about this. Google Maps app. Most of the people, they know how to use maps. In this case, just because I do have the licensing, like I have my Gmail account with Google and all that, if I type an address, let's say, for example, 1931 Martinez Street here in Orlando, and you can use it anywhere in the US, and you type here layers, if you are signing into your own account, let me minimize this a little bit. Just want to show you this. Once you have, if you are signing into Google Maps, like I am in this corner, you will be able to see this in 3D. And then once you zoom in, if you zoom in, you will see in this information in 3D. So if you click Shift and you move your mouse around, you will be able to actually navigate the roof of that specific house. So as you can see, for example, with this specific address, you can see that we have a huge tree here facing east for this specific homeowner. You can always click and recenter the view for this specific address, but it's like an additional tool. You know, when you know your neighbors and you can talk about, hey, your neighbor in the front actually has thermal pool panels, or your neighbor here over there has solar panels, you can navigate and you can have a clear vision of what is the shape of the roof without actually being there. So you're getting familiar with the area. And you know, this is just an advice. Make sure you are logging into your Gmail account and you will be able to do these things. Google is very good. I normally don't use a lot the traffic or transit view, I normally use the satellite. Satellite view is always better just to have an impression of the status of the house. Sometimes when you have a very old roof, you will see, you know, decolorations here on the corner. Just make sure you're exploring all your tools. So that's just one of the tips for Google Maps. The other tool is Bing Maps. Bing Maps, sometimes they update since they have different satellites and they pay different licensing for the International Space Center. They have different pictures, or they upload different pictures from the same location. So I'm just gonna use the same address that I was using before. Again, most of the tools, they come on road, dark road, or aerial. So I'm just gonna go ahead and look and use the aerial view, and then zoom in to this view. As you can see, this picture is completely different than the other one that we were using on Google Maps. So this one is probably more updated, and you can see all this information here on the bottom. All right, the other tool that I also use is MapQuest. This tool is also, it's not as popular. MapQuest is a tool, if it loads, that has also information. I'm just gonna use the same address just as an example. And then once you click on that specific address, same thing, you will be able to see, what is it right here? Aerial view, and then have another source of information for that specific house. Okay, so all these tools are gonna give you information, especially when you have new construction areas. New construction areas, they don't update the maps very, very close and very, very often. And then the other tool that we also share it's Nearmap. It's Nearmap, and then on Nearmap, you can also pay memberships. If you are targeting a lot of new constructions or places where you are not finding the right roof or something like that, that's an additional tool that you can you know, pay, and then you will have an additional you know, tool on your pocket. It will have some contextual when you're doing construction or things on that matter. Okay, that's very important. Another important tool that I would like to share is to be able to find, if you find your location in Google Maps, make sure you're making the pin on your power map. What does that mean? When you are posting on summary here the information, you will find out the latitude and longitude. Normally, this map will come out on the map view. Just click on satellite and make sure you're moving the tool towards the pin where the map is located. So in this case, because this location was a new construction, I was able to upload the sketch for the house based on the record, on the property records that we're going to be touched later today. This is literally the property spec sheet. And as you can see, this property is kind of tricky because you can see the owners of the house have an address with the zip code 29651, and then the property address is with the zip code 29388. It's not common, but sometimes when you're targeting new construction areas, new opportunities, that could happen. And my advice is just to use the location address and try to find out the specific location on the map. Well, this is the electric consumption right here. So I was able to take a screenshot from Google Maps with the latitude and longitude coordinates. And then I was able to take a screenshot from the property appraisal from this South Carolina property appraisal site and seeing all the specifics so I can see where exactly the house is located. Once you update all this information in your assets and you put the notes, if you take a look at the proposal, I actually put this note. I refused the first version of the proposal. I said incorrect location or address. And then I just put in the notes that the pin is being updated, and attached in assets, you will find the right property record speak sheet. And you can also visit the website for the property location. So guess what happened? The company Power was able, and the engineering team in Power was actually able to go to this second version of the proposal and was able to adjust the proposal. And guess what? They found the house. Magic happens when you do your best. So they do have access to these site plans and to these roofs. And, you know, so glad to me that I was able to coach this mentee on this specific proposal. So that's one of the tools. Make sure you update the pin, put your notes. Another important thing on your customers' information on top of the pin is the lead source. So when you go to this summary, make sure you're putting here, what's your, I'm sorry, site info. I'm sorry, summary. Right here, make sure you're after the pin. You're choosing the lead source so so that you can have a tracking record of who is your main source of leads, so that you can emphasize or do a strategy based on that. So I always make sure I'm selecting the right lead source so that I can put more money from my personal business to actually have more businesses from the top lead source. Okay, now here you have the project people, you have the consultant, the mentor. If you have an ambassador, will show up here, and then the manager and the project coordinator will be here. Okay, when it comes to the site info, something before passing that is about the request proposal. Here, before you move forward, you will be, if you do any changes on this site, make sure you're clicking save updates. And then once you save those updates, you will go to project actions and you will request the proposal. If you are already a professional, you're not a mentee, you are a mentor, try to request a next day proposal so you're preparing your meeting for the next day. In my experience, the engineering team and design team is really, really good. But most of the cases, if I'm requesting a lot of proposals for the next day, they were able to deliver the proposal even faster than if you just request real time and you jump in the chat like crazy. If it's an urgency, you can request a real time if you are inside the house. But guys, remember, we have over 4,000 consultants in the platform requesting proposals. They have a huge team doing engineering and designs. But let's just make sure that you are behaving correctly within the power culture, which is, if it's not a sense of urgency, then request it for the next day. Okay. All right, let's go to the second part of getting the customer's information. We're talking about electric bill. Make sure you're taking a good quality picture, or if you are able to download the PDF and upload the PDF in the platform, that will be better. I'm just using here an example for this customer because, for example, this bill was not a good bill. As you can see, the bill is not taking flat, so it's very difficult to actually being able to do the average. We were trying to do an average right here, and I'm sorry, not here, here. And the line is not straight. We were very not sure about the averaging for this specific system. So of course we're going to proceed with the proposal, then we can adjust it on the solo. But most of the cases, try to request the PDF so that you can have more accurate information. The better your information input is, the better the outcome and the estimate will be. Now, estimate your annual consumption. Make sure you're putting all the monthly expenses, and you're getting all the information. If you have just 6 months of energy consumption, just make sure you're putting the average. What is the highest bill, the lowest bill, and go with an average. And make sure you explain to the customer that when you are making these estimates, the system will be providing an offset for a whole year period. So make sure you explain that annual analysis from your solar project. And also, if you are getting your customers signing up today, it's most likely the installation to happen in the next month or two. So we are not going to be able to accumulate some energy credits during the winter for the summer. So explain those details so that they don't have any frustrations in the future, because remember, we're going to be compensating credits from the summer for the winter if you have a net metering policy or managing the battery storage. Verify the utility company if you have net metering. In our case, some of the utilities, they don't have a net metering policy. So just go to the company, choose the utility website, reach out to the mentors in the state and see who are the best performers in the states and actually ask those questions. Yesterday, I have a mentee asking me for an electric bill, and it turns out that this utility company in South Carolina don't have net metering, and they have peak demands, and they are paying probably 1/4 of the cost. It's not $1 to $1 like here in Duke Energy in Orlando, but it's $1 for 1/3 of a quarter when they are buying energy on peak demand in the summer and the winter. So they have different policies. I was very confused, even though I've been in business for 7 years doing this. you know, there's some utilities, they have crazy laws and they have crazy legislations for net metering. So I literally reached out to one of the top performers in South Carolina, and he said, guess what? I have the phone number for one of the installers for power. I reach out to the installer, I present myself, I'm in the power business, and they were very diligent. They did the research, they sent me the document, and now I have a good answer for my mentee. So do your due diligence. If you have projects in states that you don't know how it works, do your due diligence and do the research. Most likely that information will be public. Okay, you also have to make sure you're getting the roof information correct. When it comes to the roof information, Jennifer is going to be talking more about that in a few minutes. So yes, if you have the age of the roof will be here, the type of roof, that roof information, Jennifer is going to explain more about what is the mounting preference and the main panel. The HOA, guys, the HOA is super, super important. I cannot tell you how many times projects have been delayed just because of the HOA approval. So make sure you, or I mean, in contract is the responsibility for the customer to actually get HOA approval with the support of the salesperson. So make sure you have the customer's HOA information. One of the projects that I did last week, they didn't know the HOA name. So we literally have to find out what was the HOA in that specific location. And you know, sometimes the customer, they really don't want to collaborate, but are you going to miss that project because he doesn't want to search the HOA? No, they already gave you the credit. They already approved and signed you up for the solar system. So you have to be very diligent and do your homework, put the homeowners association name and the contact phone number. All right, then choose if they want to do cash, leasing, or loan. And then some of the notes, in this case, I was talking about the location on a specifics. All right, let's talk about the solar deck. When it comes to the solar deck, there is a lot of different tools that you can use on your solar deck. By this, I mean, we don't have the secret formula. We're going to share one of the best practices that we have accumulated for the last years, but you have to find your own style, guys. You have to find your own way of communicating things. Sometimes I get too technical. Sometimes I get too political about the legislation. Not everybody's going to buy from you. You have your own, you know, people that will choose you for your solar system. But my advice is, get control over, you know, do what you can do with what you can control. Some things you cannot control. You cannot control a credit fail. Well, you can in a sense, if you are targeting a good neighborhood, or if you're doing ad campaigns with a credit score above 620, 640. But in a sense, sometimes, you know, people say, well, I have a 640, and they really don't have a 640, they have a 520. So there is some things that you cannot control. But for the things that you can control, you can prepare for your meeting. You already have that electric bill. All you need to do is do your homework, which is all this what we're doing, and get ready for the presentation. So get your own solar deck. And if you want to, you know, direct message to us, if you want to put your email in the chat, we can send you all this information. We want to make sure all the people in this Zoom has the tools. So we're going to be sharing. And again, this solar presentation is a presentation that we do prior the proposal in solo. Why do we do that? Because the proposal is our main thing. You know, if you're getting into a closing, you cannot expect just to open the presentation, open the meeting with your proposal. That's going to be a failure. I mean, sometimes you can do a closing with opening just the proposal. You can also do that, but then think about how systematic is that. Think about how sustainable is that. Yes, of course, sometimes you will be closing just doing the presentation in about 15 to 20 minutes. I have done that in the past. But if you want to be consistent, and if you don't want to have cancellations, and if you don't want to have a call a year later saying, hey, you told me this and you told me that, and what is the format for the tax credit or things like that, you have to create appropriate expectations, and all those expectations are set up on the solar deck, okay? I don't want you guys to take notes of this solar deck. We're going to do a video explaining just the solar deck, but I want to show it to you so that you can have an illustration of what we do on this solar presentation and the solar deck. Okay. All right, let's go. Hold on one second. All right, so we have this presentation. It's literally a 20-minute structure guidance for presenting the business and the opportunity for your homeowners before the proposal. So I'm going to open this. As you can see, I have my cloud storage in, and then once I have my cloud storage in, I organize everything very, very well so that you can access from anywhere. I can open this presentation from my phone. I can open this presentation from anywhere. So let's open this in PowerPoint. All right, let's go. So what is this presentation about? The first thing we're going to share is if you're right, if your home is right for solar. Let's go ahead and open this in the app. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is if the person fits for solar, right? So we have to create the expectations, and if you saw the training before, you have to act with a lot of indifference. So you're not gonna get to the appointment saying, hey, you need this, right? We're gonna ask right of the opposite with indifference. We're gonna say we need to know, we may need to know if your right may qualify for solar, because there is a lot of houses that actually don't qualify for solar. So let's figure this out. And then you start asking deeper questions. Why were you interested? How do you hear about solar? Are you having central air conditioning? You have 2 units, 2-story house. What research have you done? Has anything changed in the last year? Are you planning to get an electric car? And we start a conversation. Remember, you have to be talking 30% of the time, the customer 70% of the time. So just ask these questions so that you can make the homeowner talk a little bit. Also use this space to recognize who is the tough person in the conversation. Sometimes you have the wife and the husband, and sometimes the husband is the guy who actually makes the decision, and you can feel that throughout this conversation. After this, I introduce myself. I explain who I am, where I'm from, how long have I been in the business. Put your picture there, make sure it's a good picture, and this is the best picture that I literally have. Show your picture, tell your story. It's not about you, it's about getting to know you. After that, just make sure they understand why solar is important and why now. So we explain about the benefits of reducing the electric bill, how they can start saving from day one, 30 days after the installation, the credits and rebates, all the environmental impact and the social impact that this is going to produce. And then the cities are changing the legislation. We explain all that. Then we do something called breaking down the bill. Breaking down the bill is super important because I explain literally, okay, what is your rate schedule? How much are you paying on connection fees? What is the fuel charges? What are the non-fuel charges? What are the additional taxes they charge? So I illustrate, and I also create a problem so that they can understand what are the main issues. Some of the bills from those utilities, they don't have all these details, right? FPL is very detailed, Duke Energy is very detailed, but some of the utilities in the different states are completely different. So just make sure you understand the bill. And if that information is not in the bill, go to the site and get that information. Most important, estimate the total amount of the bill, divide it into the number of kilowatts, and estimate the price per kilowatt so that you can have a price per watt. I also explain how solar works. I can get very technical. Sometimes when you have families, they are different. Some people, okay, I already know how it works, so you just skip it. But some people, they really want to know how it works, and you are the expert. So guess what? You need to explain that the sun produces radiation, blah, 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 photovoltaic system, blah, 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 acceleration of protons and neutrons, blah, 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 bidirectional meter, you're selling credits, blah, 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 and you explain everything. If the person is not technical and you're feeling that that person is boring, just do a quick explanation and skip it. This is something that I spend a lot of time. I can tell you probably 5 or 7 minutes just in this section, guys. This is gonna save you a lot of issues down the road, and this is gonna contribute to Power's reviews. So give some time to explain the federal tax credit and the form that is available there so that they can claim it, and when are they eligible and when they are not eligible. And I always said, I'm not a tax accountant, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant. I have a bachelor's degree in business, but I cannot advise you legally in taxes. I can tell you what have been the experiences for my customers and all that, but please don't take this as a tax advice, okay? Something that I recommend everybody to do. And then I also explain the savings and how this benefits the increase of the value of the house. I talk about the U.S. Energy Department, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development that actually has this study. I talk about NREL and all these things. And then why Power. I show the video that we have. After the video, they are pumped up. I explain why we're one of the fastest companies, the 5-star reviews, the B Certified Corporation, how does Power share all the profit and benefit the communities, and the A+ on Better Business Bureau, all those things. I talk about the solar insurance that I always include in all my projects. This is what allows me to sleep at night when for projects that I have sold in the past. So I explain the coverage, all the benefits about this. And then I also talk about the ambassador program. I'm assuming they will be signing up. And I said, you know what, once you get your solar panels on your roof, guess what's going to happen? All your neighbors are going to start asking you, hey, who did the installation? How was that? How was your experience? And then you can, talk about the referral program. And I always say, listen, if you give me 12 referrals, and then I close 4 of them, you just made $4,000, because we're going to pay you $1,000 once we get the system installed. How many referrals can you give me on a year? We just need to install 12 so you can have free energy for probably the next 2 years. You're receiving $12,000 a year, and I do the math for them so they can get excited. At the very end, getting ready for the proposal, which is my closing tool, I explain the options. You can stay where you are or go solar with all the benefits. And then after that, I ask these questions. Are you ready for your proposal? Guys, the solar deck also is useful if you are inside the house and you're getting the information, you're getting the electric bill, you request an immediate proposal. This side decks or this presentation is going to give you some time to actually deal with the proposal design and have the proposal ready. Once I am at this level, I already build the trust. I already build the confidence from the homeowner. I already explain all the benefits. So all the questions that they probably will be asking about the project before are already answered. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Customer? Okay, great. Are you ready for your proposal? Okay, let's see your solar system, and then you move forward. All right, that's the solar deck. We can share all this information with you guys. 4. Let's talk about Google Sunroof. There is some additional tools, and we're a cloud-based platform. Power is the best solar cloud-based platform, but there is also some different tools out there that can be complementary to Power, right? In the moment that you're requesting the proposal, you need to figure it out, what is the situation on the house. So why don't you go to tools like this one? So let's go to Google Project Sunroof. There is some areas where Google Sunroof is available and eligible, some areas where there is not a chance for you to have this. Why? Because this is based on satellite pictures that are taking thermal pictures from the maps. So this process is going to take longer. But most of the cases, most of the houses will be there. All right, so this is Project Sunroof. You will be typing the address. I'm going to use the same address. There you go. Once you type the address, boom, you have radiation maps on that community. Guess what? You have a very well prospect in front of this house. So if you close this house, if this house is your prospect, guys, I don't know you, but I see a beautiful south-facing roof right here to put a 20 kW or something like that. You can see how many hours of radiation are usable. 1,599 hours of usable light per year, which is how many hours you will have based on the square footage of this house, and then how many square feet is available for solar panels. This is just information for you prior your solar presentation. Please don't take this for granted in terms of the pricing and all that. This is just an additional tool, and then you can choose whatever the electric bill for that homeowner, let's say 150, and it will tell you how much is going to be the offset with the system size that most likely is going to be. I also use this tool just to see what is the biggest system. I want to know, before I receive the proposal from Power, I want to know what is the biggest system that I can install in this house. So if I go with 250, we already know that based on the average solar panel size and based on the square footage that is available for that specific address, I can see, okay, the biggest system that I can install in this house is a 15 kW. Even if I move this bill to 350, you see, it's just changing the offset, but it's not changing the system size. So I have a metric. I know I can go from 4 kW, 3 kW system in Power, all the way out to probably 15 kW or 16 kW. Great. Okay, more information here. If you want to do that, you can search that. The other tool that is good, we talk about radiation maps, the usable sunlight per year, the maximum square foot, max tier 1 system. Okay. And then Data Explorer. Data Explorer is also a tool from Google Sunroof. This is great. If you are selling in Power, like we all are, in different states, like we are experts in Florida, Texas, New Jersey, South Carolina, North Carolina. But what about, I don't know, Illinois? So if, for example, New Jersey or New York, if I type here New Jersey, This is going to tell me a lot of information about that specific market. So I can see that there is a lot of buildings eligible for solar, 78%, and there is 17,000 existing solar installations in this specific location. I can see that in this specific market, you can literally see what is the average system size. So I see that probably in New Jersey, because they have different ways of generating energy, you can also see that most of the systems are 5 to 6 kW, 5 to 10 kW systems. If you type Texas or California or Florida, those systems are normally bigger based on the energy sources and utilities and all those things. How many roofs do we have? 1.6 million in New Jersey. What is the roof space available? What are the type of roof? Are those flat roofs, south facing roof, west facing roof, east facing roof, north facing roofs? A lot of information here, and also the incentives. So let's take a look at this. For example, in New Jersey, you have the federal tax credit residential, and then you have the SREC, which are SREC, which is the solar renewable energy certificate, which is an additional incentive. You can read more, and this is going to take you to a different page where they explain all the incentives in that specific state. So this is a very, very useful tool if you want to type, I don't know, let's go to the Data Explorer again and just type Orlando, where I am, right? So it's going to tell you, we have 793 existing solar installations, and what is the market? What is the space available? We have 54,000 roofs, guys. 54,000 roofs, and these systems are more likely to be between 10 to 15 kWs. So all this information is useful. Get ready to your proposal, get ready to your market, and prepare your successful presentation. All right, I have the opportunity to transfer the mic now to Miss Jennifer Flores. Let me go ahead and choose you as, I'm gonna ask you to mute you. I believe you're
Hello,
mute.
everybody. Can you hear me? Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm not Jennifer Flores only. I'm like J Flo, and I'm very happy to be here with all of you. I've been working in the solar industry for a couple of years, full time, already 4 years, and we love what we do. And it's our pleasure to really share, our experience and kind of leverage what we have done and really accelerate your solar journey. That's what we do, this type of events, even with people that is not only in our teams, but already inside Power, because we truly believe in the acceleration and the adoption of clean renewable energy. And we want you to be successful. We want you to grow your teams. And that's why we are here. So now my part of the presentation is I gotta explain a little bit why it's important to know, I'm opening, like the public records. And this is basically because I'm gonna share my screen. I need access to share my screen, Diego, please. It's very important before you meet the customer to know your customer the best that you can, because then you like set up yourself for success. And actually preparation is half of the sale. So the better prepared you are in front of that family for that half an hour or an hour time that you get in front of them, the higher probability that you have of closing them.
Can you try now?
Some of us, we don't have the opportunity to do the solar discovery call, because when we do mentorship, sometimes that mentorship, that solar discovery call or that initial conversation came through the mentee. And now we have a conversation with the mentee, but we probably miss the opportunity to ask that homeowner, listen, how old is your roof? And that important, very important question, maybe we don't know anything about. So we have additional tools to know how to know host disabled participant share screening. I cannot. Can you give me access, because I can't, Diego.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hold on, let me reclaim host 1 second.
So the better prepared you are.
You are the host now.
Okay. I'm gonna share my screen now. So this part is about like checking the public records, and really when you don't have the opportunity to ask directly the homeowner, how long does this homeowner have been living in this house, what has happened with the roof and everything. What you can do is, and I'm going to be talking about a previous example of a customer that we installed this year at the beginning and we closed last November. His name was Pablo Ruiz. And once you have here the opportunity, like first of all, if you don't know which county this property is located at, everything started with a very simple question to Google, and is like, what is the county for the zip code 32824? And right there, you know it's Orange County. And then the next thing that you look is for the Orange County like property appraisal. And here I have here the same example with the address. And this is important because here you can check what are the property features. So you know this house was probably built on 2004. And so you already know it's over like 15 years construction, and you know no like roof permits have happened in the past 5 years. So you're not only assuming, but you can take notes that you are facing a homeowner that probably has a 10-year-old roof, and there is some information that is very important for you to have that initial conversation. On the other hand, once like you here can know exactly that you're talking to the decision maker, that you're talking to the homeowner. How many times do we get leads when we are doing our self-generated leads through digital campaigns, right? How many times we have landing pages or funnels, and then we get excited because we have someone interested in solar, and then when we check this, oh, but they are not the homeowner, they are probably the renters, or probably the house is, even if they appear on the electric bill, we know they are not on title of the property. So being prepared and knowing this type of information will help you like not only become successful, but even not lose your time, talking over an hour and a half with someone, and when they say yes and you want to qualify them, and even if they are approved on financing, you realize, oh, I'm sorry, you're not on title. I need you. I need always to speak with the homeowner. So that's why it's very important to check the public records and always check like the property specifics of the house, the features, what has been built in this house. You know that a house that comes with a pool probably has it already has statistically like a higher consumption. So you can also ask on that solar deck on the first slide that Diego presented, like you already know, okay, an additional question may be, do you heat the water on your swimming pool? And these type of things make you look professional, that you know what you're talking about, that is not only about just reading an electric bill and saying you need this amount of panels and that costs you this amount of money, but you actually know how it's composed, the electric bill. So you know half of the electricity is because of the air conditioning, and other big appliances are going to be related with that pool appliances, like the variable speed pump or the heater for that water in that swimming pool. And all these type of things will help you ask more and more questions for your initial part of the presentation, which, by the way, it's important because it helps you build bonding and building rapport with that family, and position yourself as the expert, not only as a sales rep, not only as a sales representative, but someone who actually knows what is he talking or she's talking about. So this is always important. It helps to know the homeowner, that you're talking with the right person, and what are the features of the house. On the other hand, I always like to check the Zillow like address. Why? Because it helped me like really understand, how big is this house. Other stuff is like, if I sometimes, when this house was recently sold, I see it, and it just brings me an additional information if maybe I'm talking to someone who just purchased the house 3 months ago or 6 months ago. This is also something that you could check here on the property records, but it also helps you know when was the last time this house was sold, and all the specifics. And this is important because if you if you sometimes receive an electric bill and some cops don't have the graphic for the annual consumption, right? They just have like specifically, like I remember here in Central Florida, like the Peace Cops around Tampa area, they don't come with the graphic. They just give you like three numbers: the last month, the previous month, and 1 year ago electric consumption. So when I just got these bills, but I come to Silo, I have an additional source of information to know how long have probably been living this family in this house. And this is important because it's different approach when you have a complete electric bill for a year, or when you are talking to a family that just purchased the house a few months ago. So if, for example, we're talking with a family in March, like right now, right, like tomorrow, and we realize they purchased the house probably in October last year, that means they haven't had any summer bills, and we need to estimate that because it's completely normal in Central Florida to have a higher consumption during the summertime, just because we tend to use more the air conditioning. And I already told you half of the electricity consumption is because of that unit. So it's completely normal that we have higher, very higher electric bills during the summer in comparison with the winter. It's probably the opposite in the north, when we know, because of the heating, probably our friends up in New York that are watching this live with us could tell us the opposite, right? Probably the higher bills are during the winter months in comparison with the summertime. So this is important always to really knowing, who is your customer, and also preparing yourself for possible objections. Because if I'm talking to someone, to a family that recently purchased the house, well, they might have that concern, right? Like, listen, I really don't know what's my electricity consumption. So you could prepare your answer to that, because you already know that. Oh yes, I checked that. It seems you've been in this house just since October, and no problem. We could estimate with the square footage of your house how many people live here. Okay, our statistics says that on average the electric bill increases on a 30% during the summer term. Let me ask you a little bit of your behavior with energy. Like, what temperature do you like to have your air conditioning? And all these questions that you are preparing yourself to answer, you already know that what is going to be their answer, right? You already know they purchased the house in October. You already know they don't know exactly what is their consumption in the summer. So if you already prepare your answers for that, you're just increasing your chances to answer them well, handle those objections, build trust, build rapport, and make your presentation successful. And this is part of the following slide, that is like really understanding the opportunity, sizing the opportunity. I just posted like 2 days ago, we help a family that they had just 8 panels in the south facing roof that were installed 10 years ago. When we were doing this part of preparation and really understanding the opportunity, we wanted to know, okay, what happened 10 years ago? Like, we knew by public records there was a permit, like for solar, submitted 10 years ago, and we received their electric bill. So we knew they were having over $150 average electric bill, which meant those 8 previous panels were just producing a little bit of energy. So we wanted to, like, understand this before even talking to the homeowner. We even search who was the installer, what happened. So we really position ourselves in this conversation with this homeowner. Okay, I know something happened 10 years ago. Can you walk me a little bit of what was the expectative, what was the warranties they gave you, the numbers they assumed for you? Do you still have a loan for those? Like, really understanding what you're being in front of, and then really presenting our proposal and making our proposal win, because we were just going to kill that current electric bill that they have. So all these questions, all this information is very important, because doing anything, it's just doing anything and everything possible to ensure you understand who is your customer, what market is he in, right? What is the neighborhood? As Diego mentioned before, when you go into Google Maps, and I have it here, um, like when you build, like for example in this case Pablo, when I met them, I knew their next door neighbors had solar. So that was a really a winning point for me, and that conversation, telling them, like when I asked them, like, why are you interested in solar? And I already knew, their next door two neighbors had solar. So they may tell me, listen, I've been seeing this in my neighborhood. So really knowing who you're talking to, what is the neighborhood look like, who else has solar, do they have an old or a new roof, are they just recently moved in or not? All these will help you really do a very successful presentation and increase the possibilities you have in that. Always also break the pattern of the expect, because sometimes on that presentation already the homeowner is expecting you to sell, right? And we all know the process of selling, like, okay, so I know you did kind of like a diagnosis. I send you my electric bill. Now you're going to tell me how many panels, and now we're just going to negotiate warranties, price, and process, and we'll say yes or no. But when you start the presentation on the opposite, when it seems you did your homework, when you did the research, when you know a lot about them, and they notice that, they value your time, and they value theirs, and they know they're talking with someone professional. They know they're talking to someone who knows not only about solar, but about, what is energy efficiency at home, what are the main appliances consuming the most energy at the house. And when they know, okay, it seems you've been in this house for 10 years, Mr. Customer. So let me ask you, have you seen this electric bill going up? So all this information is just going to add more value for you during the presentation. I hope this part helps you a little bit. That was my 2 slides and my intervention. And I'm gonna again give the word to Diego and Ramsey.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Yeah, we're having a lot of activity here in the chat. Thank you for making those comments and all that. We are going to move forward to next step, which is, hold on one second, guys, setting up solo. All right. So for this part, we kind of have more interactive, we prepare a more interactive section. I believe, Ramsey, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Great, great, great. Okay. So you want to talk a little bit about how we get to this meeting? Remember, we were talking on the phone, and why do we get into this whole Zoom meeting presentation?
To basically understand how to go about solo and how to set it up to have proper expectations, and so you can have the proper tools to actually have a beneficial meeting to where you can actually serve the customer and the client. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do. We're not here to serve ourselves. We're here to help other people and do it to the best of our abilities.
Great. So can you share a little bit about that need? So you were getting electric bills from homeowner, you have that covered, and the solar proposal will come out. So what is that in the middle that needs to be trained or that needs to be developed exactly?
Right. So whenever I was looking at it, and I've been, in the solar industry, I'm relatively new, but thanks to you and Jennifer really mentoring me and helping me out, you've given me a lot of insight as to what to look into. And a lot of times, we have these questions like, for instance, I didn't know about finding the public records and going on Zillow and looking up certain information. So for me, it's new. I'm not sure on the incentives, the panels, things like that, you need to do your research, you need to understand, you need to do your trainings. And the solo tool that we have is very, very intuitive. It's very in-depth, but you have to know what you're doing, right?
Exactly. All right. So that's exactly why we have this specific chapter. Setting up solo is very, very good. I have to tell you that different mentors, they set up solo differently. They have different experiences. They have different success strategies. I'm going to share you mine. It's not the only one. As you can probably see in the market, they have different ways of doing things. So in this case, we're going to go to solo for a real example. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up this proposal, and we're gonna just go over it. So this project was already installed, but I just wanna show you what we do. We actually jump into the platform. We make sure we're putting all the panels not in the north, not in the north section. Sometimes when you have houses that are facing the front of the house is facing south, you have a little bit more of challenge. So you can either discover what is the best layout or just go ahead and try to pitch the person with panels in the front, see which are the best options. If you have a very complex, which means very different arrays, every section of the roof right here is called an array. So you can click here and see that this house, for example, has 6 different arrays, and what are the different directions of that arrays on the roof, and what are the inclinations and the shades. Sometimes you will see addresses where you have an array that has 40% shade. So make sure you're not putting panels on that section, and then how many panels you're putting on that specific roof. You choose the panels, you go with the best system. We normally try, if I'm very close to well, here in Florida, we have tier 1, tier 2, some of the utilities, they also have those things. Sometimes they request $1 million liability coverage policy. So most of my projects, I try to do it under 11.4. So that I can avoid that. But if it's a big system and a big opportunity, and it's more likely to be a 13 to a 14 kW or above, then I definitely go for a bigger system. So I customize this, try to make sure we're getting the most energy production from those specific arrays, and then I go ahead and click save. You make sure the system size is very clear with your Menti, or if you're doing this on your own, make sure you have cleared the system size, which is how many panels based on the watts per panel. This project was done a few months ago, so we were using the QSL 350. When you're choosing the panel, also make sure you understand the specific pricing on each of the panels. This was a very competitive offer versus Titan. So in this case, where back there we used to have the LGs. As you can see, some of those panels can be almost double or even more the cost per watt. And we were looking with Ramsey this the other day. Are we looking for more panels on just one array, or are we looking for lowering the price based on the financing fee that we're going to be choosing? So this is a whole game. Just make sure you're selecting the most convenient way. I normally go with, if it's a very, very competitive offer with the cheapest cost per watt, I normally explain to all the people that Power made. I mean, we have all the providers on our feed, guys. We're installing millions and millions of solar panels. We can have any panel provider that you can imagine. The only difference is that we choose the top companies. We use the lower radiation degradation ratios for the panels. We choose the ones that has the highest efficiency. We choose the ones that has the better warranties, because we're going to be insuring those panels for 30 years. So there is a lot of things that we compound when we select the panels. So don't be scared if it's also the cheapest option. You're not choosing a cheaper option. You're choosing a really good option with the lowest price. I may have to rephrase that, but it's one of the most important things that I normally share. 50 cents per watt, it could make a big difference when it comes to the equipment. Make sure you have clear what are the main difference between main inverters and microinverters. We have the product knowledge sessions on Tuesdays for product training. Go to Power Calendar, know your products. We have specifics, and Ramsey is a testimony of this. We were trying to do a project with IQ8s. In this specific project, we don't have IQ8s. Like I said, this project was like a month or two before, but we used to have, now we have the IQ8s. You have differences between the IQ8A, the IQ8M, the IQ8 Plus, and you have to match the panel with the right inverter. So just make sure you choose the inverter. If you don't see the cents per watt here on the inverter, you can easily go here to pricing and see what is the cost of that inverter. If it's 0.36 versus, for example, if I choose a Solar Edge, let me see if it saves. No, because it's an executed contract. Anyway, so oh yeah, it was safe. Yeah, you see how it was lower between the end phase and the microinverters is 0.02 cents on the changes. So you can always play with those things. Another important thing that we all normally do, we go here for energy production. We see how much is the current consumption and the production. If you want to change this, just double click here on the graphic and you will be able to type the whole amount. Let's say it's not 12,400, but 12,000, and you want to change one specific month. you can also do that, and it's completely doable. Okay, so sometimes I try to request a proposal. If I already know the utility in that specific area, I request the proposal. I put a consumption, which is, you know, average 1,000 kilowatt hours, just for getting the proposal. And then once I receive the proposal prior the meeting, I adjust the annual usage based on the graphic or based on the literally information that I have. So I can adjust these later on to make it accurate. You can, I normally explain the accumulation of credits if you have net metering, the accumulation of credits during the winter, and how you're going to be using those credits during the summer. If you don't have net metering, just explain that you may have to accumulate these on the battery so that you can use it on the following days. And I don't explain this by going month to month, but day by day. One tool that I normally use is Solar Edge Monitoring. This tool is also really good. It's very open. You can literally type it on Google, and you will be able to go to these public sites. And I share some of the monitoring systems that are public from Solar Edge, so that you can see. For Enphase, it's a lighting. But let's say, for example, I'm doing a project in Orlando. So I just type here Orlando, and I search a system similar to the system that I'm trying to do. In this case, I'm doing an 8.4 kW system. So whoop, this system is a little bit slow. And then I choose, for example, this one. This one is a 7 kW. It's very similar. It's here in Orlando. You will be able to see the graphics on energy consumption. You will be able to see the layout of the panels. How many energy are you producing on each single panel? It seems the house has some trees on this section. The more blue, the more energy. The darker the blue, the less energy is producing. And then the dashboard will show you energy production daily, weekly. You can play out with these roles, and you can show some of the days that are producing less energy with the days that are producing more energy. You can fly back on time and explain how the energy production will be changing month to month, so that they can see that some days they will not be producing energy, and it's okay, because we do have cloudy days. Like, for example, these days, look at this day, February the 9th. It was a very cloudy, shitty day for solar. And now we have, look, naturally, the system the next day, and the earth is very savvy. Next day, we have a lot of energy production. Look at this, almost 5 kW per hour. That's amazing. You can see energy production month by month. Some days you won't be producing as much. Some days you will be producing a lot. The most important thing is looking at this information quarterly or yearly, see how much energy you're producing. In this case, he produces more energy in 2021. Probably they installed the system at the middle of March. And then you can see all the graphics and all the information, the CO2 emissions. So I explained this. This is the monitoring system for Solar Edge. If you use Enphase, you probably have to take screenshots from your current customers and do those things. So these are additional information. Going through the solo proposal, the offset is very important. You can always double click here and check what is the cents per watt. Remember, I show you on the initial solar deck presentation to estimate how much is the cost per watt. We did this like 3 times, right, Ramsey, with our clients. Yes. Just making sure this number is accurate, because one thing is the cost per watt for the energy, another thing is the cost per watt for the fuel, and another thing is the total cost per watt, including taxes, securitization charges and fees, connection fees, and all that. And that's probably 15 cents per watt. Depending the state on all that. Another thing that you can do is literally go here to the utility bill. You can estimate, since we have new legislations, if the new bill is going to be $40, you can type it, update it, and you will have the new number. Okay, sometimes they use algorithms that are grabbing the information from the utilities, but in a case-by-case scenario, there could be slight differences, so that you can play around with these numbers. In this case, right now, for Duke Energy, we have a $12 connection fee. There you go. Okay. In terms of savings and electric consumption, you can also choose different banks. If you have local SER incentives or additional incentives, they will be appearing here. Right now, when we have the 36 no payments, it will appear here. Also, when it comes to the financing, I normally don't begin my presentation with the best and most aggressive lower payment. I begin my presentation with a very normal and considerable payment, let's say 25 years, 2.99, which is not that great. I mean, it's a good interest rate, and we know we go with the Fed raising the interest rates and the inflation and all those things. I normally don't share the presentation with the federal tax credit, and I don't close people based on the federal tax credit because sometimes they're not eligible. I said, listen, if you get the tax credit, that's a blessing, that's good. You check this, you pay this money towards the principal, and you will get the same payment that you did in the first 18 months. But normally, I want you to make the decision based on this 129 versus your current existing bill, which is $115. Do you want to pay less or you want to pay more? Then when the person is excited, if I can handle the customer with these numbers, then I will definitely see. And I normally say, if you have a lower credit score, you probably will be eligible for something lower. What is your credit score? And then I ask those questions. And customers, they could be telling you the truth. Sometimes they don't tell you the truth, but most of the cases they are 20 to 40 points above what they really have. So if they give you a 700 score, probably they have 680 or 650. You know what I mean? If they tell you, oh, I have like 640, it's probably 620. You know what I mean? So you assume always the worst case scenario. Once I see the person, if the person says, well, I have an 800 credit score, probably have 720, 750, I will go ahead and give them the most aggressive monthly payment, lower monthly payment, which could be this, or probably the flex pay payment for 25 years. I believe we have, this one is also really good. $36, 162. So you play around with the numbers. You can poke Jennifer. Jennifer is really good doing these scenarios, and then you will plan your strategy. Okay, then you have the loan amount. You can describe how much is going to be the federal tax credit. What is the total system cost? I explain this graphic, I do show this information, and I let them know that the loan amount is going to be this number, but I don't stay a lot of time here. Why? Because I stay a lot of time in these monthly payments. I want them to remember they are image. There is image memory. If they see this number and you are highlighting these numbers very much during the conversation, they will stay with that number. If you allow your presentation to stay here, it's like, well, I'm gonna do $29,000. You know what I mean? It could be a car, it could be our trip through Hawaii or something. So it's something very important for you to, yes, show your information, but be strategic on staying on one screen for a long period of time. Then I go for the savings. You're selling the dream of going solar, which is basically your monthly payment of, in this case, I go with the 162. So right now you're in 175, I believe, 155, right? And then you're going to be paying 140 something, 162 for a fixed amount of time. And then there is a point where you pay off your solar package, and with inflation that we just get 10% accumulated inflation, and it's just March. How much is going to be the accumulated inflation for the rest of the year? We really don't know. With the pandemic, with the war in Russia, with all these things, we really don't know. And then I explained the savings. When people told me, hey, we don't like contracts, I said, well, you are with a contract. Well, it's not a contract in paper, but you've been paying energy for the last X years. How old are you? 45. Okay, so you've been paying electricity for probably since you were 20. So you've been paying electricity for 25 years, and you don't have a contract with this utility, but you will be paying over the next 30 years, 25 years, this amount. So you're not in a contract, but we really know you are, because this is a monopoly, so you cannot choose your utility provider. So you're in a contract for 77,000. What do you want to pay? 77,000 or 45,000? And I'm transparent. If you are paying 45,000, this is including interest, because these $29,000 are not cash, are with interest. So how much are you really going to pay? 45,000. So you can save, all this amount. How much are you going to be saving? 31,714. This is how much money you will be saving. The question is, do you want to save 31,000 or you want to stay with the direct rate? And remember, before you do the closing, it's this. Now, in my closing statement, I never click here until I ask the question, okay, all we need is your driver license. And remember, I'm doing my chest. And just silence. And then the person looks at his wife. Well, I guess give me 1 second. They go for the driver license. You click qualify. Okay, all you need is your social, whatever last digit of your social. You type it here. You click, as you're a co-applicant, and then you submit, and then you get the closing. Once you have that, you click here and you request documents, and you also export it to PDF. You request the driver license for the homeowner and all those things. So that's basically everything. Something new for us was this request roofing proposal that we look last week. If the homeowner needs a roofing proposal, guys, we can offer roof right now. Just go click here with the project ID. You will receive a different solo proposal for just roofing. So that's also really good. And then you click, once you close the deal, make sure you select this proposal. Once you select this proposal, it's locked, and then you're good to go. After you close, what do you do? I normally explain this very, very fast in the presentation, but at the end, once we close the deal, congratulations, Mr. John. Thank you so much for choosing Power for your solar system. We're super excited. Hey, doesn't feel good to take out of the earth 5 tons of CO2 emissions? And you know, you have to do with conversations. You have to do your introduction, your short story, your presentation, your closing with the proposal, and then you have to rehash what we did today. Yes, you went solar, you save money. What we really did today, we just planted 191 trees. I don't know how many trees you have planted in your life, but you just did 191. So you have to feel very proud about this. You can share this in your social media. Just let them know that you just planted 191 trees, that you take out of the earth 5 tons of CO2 emissions, and that you just add $25,000 on your home value. In the process, I normally explain that we have to be in constant communication. Thank you so much for all this, Mr. Customer. This is your savings report. You have been approved. You already signed your documents. Now we have to do the site survey. Can we do it right now? And then I go to my app, I do my virtual site survey, make sure you're taking the breaker picture and all that, submit it, and then you wait for the cut permit. You make sure they understand that sometimes the site survey needs a second site survey just for deeper inspections for the main electrical panel or things like that, and then you move forward to permitting. Installation will take within a month to 2 months, depending on the permitting from the county and your local timings. And then you proceed with installation. Once you get your system installed, you cannot turn it on. We have to request the utility company to change the bidirectional meter, and then we activate the system, and everything is going to be communicated via email. So make sure you have your email, and if you are receiving these emails on your spam folder, put it on your inbox so that you can have that. You have my number? Okay, Mr. Customer, let me call you right now from my personal number. I'm going to text you my contact info. So if you have any questions, just text me. Okay, very important to establish that communication, and then this is the proposal details. All right. That's the section for setting up solo. I hope you guys have a blast with all this information. Ramsey, do we have some questions on the chat? Can you please help me with some of the questions? Or if you have questions for the people, this is the moment. Can you unmute? Hold on one second. I believe I have to do it. There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a question from Eddie, and he was talking about this question? If the credit score needed what was the credit score needed at 2.99? And Jennifer had responded that, as long as you're above 600, you're usually going to get approved. It's more about how much you're going to be approved for. So from a 600 to a 649, it's 45,000. From a 650 to a 669, it's 50,000. 670 to 699, 75,000. 700 and up would be 100,000, and then 740 and up would be 125,000. And there's no DTI requirement if you have a 700 or above.
So okay. Do you want to add something, Jennifer?
No, I think Ramsey explained it very well. I will just say I won't give the control. I never give the control of the financing to the homeowner, because they don't know what they want sometimes. They want the lower payment, but also they want the lower APR, and they don't understand dealer fees. So what I do is, at the beginning, I really ask, okay, so how long do you plan on living in this house? This is my forever home. Okay. And let me ask you something. Are you retired? Do you still working? So with these questions, I know if they're on a fixed income. So for them, maybe more interested, to have a very low payment if they are retired, or if they are like in their 30s or 40s, right? Productive years. They probably, what they want is to prepay this loan earlier. So I start mentioning, okay, don't worry, our financing has no pre-penalty fee. And then I hear them. Oh, that's great. Like it's important you start not only waiting until the end, just to talk about numbers, but during the presentation, you're throwing some questions and you're hearing them them answering. Because in my experience, I just give them just one option, right? I select the financing that I want to offer them, and I just, like sell that option. Because if I start giving them many options, I just create in them like different scenarios, and then the process stop being simple and start being complex. And then I may get an objection like, you know what, I really need to think this through, and that's something I want to avoid. So I just give them the best possible financing that I can give them based on their previous answers. But that's something I work live on a presentation with them. I have a Catalina Ramirez saying, what is the option in the good leap for low 600 minimum FICO? I'm sorry. In this option, it's like on the links when you do manual application, you can apply. I believe it's above 580, but the limit amount is very little. It's like less than 45,000, and you just run it like through solo in a normal, like you just don't select flex pay. Or if you have the link, I'm going to put here the link for the knowledge base in Power for the additional document for good leap to go for the manual application. You can check there the option for like access for this good leap with a lower in like FICO.
Awesome. And remember, this is being recorded. If you want to watch it later or share it with someone, it's going to be in our YouTube channel. Ramsey, you have more questions?
Yeah. So if you have a client who's, let's say, it's their forever home, they're going to stay there for the next 30, 40 years, how would you approach that? And what financing would you go with as opposed to someone who's looking to sell within the next 5 years, say?
You want to answer that, Jennifer? Okay. No, it's very different situations. If it's a forever home, what I will do, I will explain to them that, financing is good if they are in a cash flow situation issue where they have to go below their current budget, and we can always go below the current budget with a longer term and an APR that is, very, very low. The whole system cost is going to be more expensive, as we know the dealer fees are higher for those programs, but they will be able to lower the monthly payment since they're not in an urgency. And that's something that I explained to them. If it's not a forever home, but something like, well, I'm going to be in this house for 7 years or 8 years, of course, we have zero interest for 12 years with Sun Life Financial. I go with shorter terms since they want to figure it out, the number. They really don't care if the monthly payment is $100 or $400. They just want to pay it out faster. I have one case for one of the mentees. He said, Diego, I want to do it, but I like the cash price. I choose that plan, and I said, you can do it now instead of you saving. He said, I'm going to be saving for the next 6 months so that I can buy it cash. I say, okay, very easy. Your system cost is let me do the calculations. The system cost is $45,000 divided by 6 months. That means you will be saving $7,500 a month. Why don't we just sign you up on the Sun Life Financial 7% APR for 15 years, and then for 12 years, and then you can pay that to principal without prepayment penalty, and in 6 months you can have your system pay off. But the thing is that we're starting the process right now, so you can save energy cost throughout this whole year. I mean, we're not going to install you in less than a month, probably 2 or 3 months. But the moment you get installed, you already have savings and you can pay it off sooner. So he ended up putting the system, not waiting 6 months to get the money cash for buying the system. So it all comes to terms, APR, dealer fee, and sense of urgency for the homeowner. You have to play out, and this is more an experience feel, I believe. There is no a secret formula. Sometimes with people that they want to pay it off in shorter terms, you have to go with a higher APR so the dealer fee it's lower. But most of the cases, I will say 70% of the cases, you have to try to get a lower payment, 20 to 30% of what it is the average bill.
Great. I think Jennifer's trying to speak. Her mic's.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Yeah. I'm sorry. this thing, hold on one
Thank you.
second.
I appreciate it. Awesome. Ramsey, thanks for watching me. I
Thanks.
have another very important question from Joe. I really want to make sure I answer and many other people can hear. He asked if the roof needs to be replaced, say or 8 years down the road, how and who takes the panels off and put them back on, and what is the approx cost to this? So I'm going to talk about numbers here in Central Florida. But the cost is about $70 for taking down per panel. So you do the math if you're talking about 15 or 20 panels or 30 panel system, and it's about $70 to install them back. With power, basically what happens is normally when the homeowner purchases solar, we always recommend that homeowner to add the solar system into the home insurance. So down the road, the home insurance is going to cover partially or totally the cost for that re-roof, right? For the process of changing the roof for a newer roof. And normally the insurance has not only money for changing the roof, but also a portion for the labor for the solar system that is insured. So I've seen in the past previous customers that the home insurance paid not only for the re-roof, but pay a service local solar company to take down the system and put it back. And in the terms of the process, well, the homeowner contacts the roofer company that they want to work with, and they should contact Power through the customer service of Power for Power to interact with the local installer that did that installation, for them to come, remove, wait that the roofer comes, change the roof, pass inspection, and then that installer can come again and put the system back. And normally the cost is just the labor cost of the time of the technicians taking down the system and putting the system back and functioning.
Thank you, Jennifer. Awesome. All right. Do we have more questions?
We have
one more.
question.
One more last question.
All right. We have a question from Catalina. She says, when some customers they already have leases with panels from another company and they want to buy panels with Power, what is the process?
It is treated as a completely new sale. So you just need to make sure that you have enough roof space, and ideally that you have roof space on the west or the east side, because we are assuming already the system that was initially installed was placed on the best possible south facing roof.
And you will be surprised, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, but basically the first question is, okay, do I have enough roof space to really offer a new system? And then you check what is the available roof space, and you may need to use the north facing roof, but you just treat it as a new completely system.
So we can do hybrid systems, but we're not going to touch his existing system. We're not going to touch the warranties or the terms of that system. We're just going to hook up the new system like a Lego, adding the system. All right, great. I think we have
one more question. One more
right.
question for you, Jody, from Jody to Diego. How exactly are the panels attached to the roof? Had a customer ask me that.
Well, we have different techniques depending on the type of roof. We can use different clies. We can use different anchors. What it is very important is that you take a look at the engineering drawings, because on every engineering drawing plans, you will see the specifics of how everything is going to be attached. If you use metal roofs, then the claps are going to be metal and they have to be sealed with some specific materials. Metal roofs, they have others for additional type of structural engineering and materials. But normally, normal shingles, normal concrete shingles, they are attached via the iron rich rails, and they provide an additional layer of protection to the roofs. We can literally go to the engineering drawings on your project and see how exactly they are attached. And I have videos that I can share to you via text message, so you can show your customers within the installation. When you go to the installation, this is very important, guys. When you have your installation, go and take videos and take pictures so that you can show homeowners when you are in the conversation or in your Zoom meetings, hey, this is a tile installation that I did. Or if you don't have those installations, just request those pictures from us so that you can trust and you can build that trust for the homeowner. All right. Thank you, Jody, for that question. I hope you all have a blast with this presentation. Thank you, Power Warriors. This is the second series of the Lead Generation Champion Series. See you on our next Lead Generation Champion Series. And I just want to dance now.
Yeah.